Welcome back. You're watching Your Future, Your Finances. We're speaking today with Tony Lombardi of Russell Street Report and Utah Street Report. Great guest about running a business as a business model, running a website as a business model. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
So last segment we talked all about the running a business through a website and generating advertising revenue and things like that. How about things like, is there volatility to the revenue? Does it go up and down? And what's the hardest thing of actually making sure that it supports you and all of your costs?
Well, I think that because we've been doing football longer than baseball, and sports are sometimes looked at as being seasonal, that people think that there's seasonality to the effectiveness that we can bring to them. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not necessarily the case, because the NFL has done wonderful things for us. They've made it relevant probably 11 and a half months out of the year. Yeah. And the only downtime is really after that last organized team activity, which is usually mid-June, until the first day of training camp, which is usually mid-July. Mm-hmm. This year it's July 27th for the Ravens reporting, and probably a week to 10 days before that, people are all revved up and they really want to know about football. So it's all year long, because they go from the season to the draft, mm-hmm. from the draft, from the season to free agency to the draft to talking about the organized team activities, mm-hmm. and then they break for a month and go right into training camp. So mm-hmm. the seasonality is in terms of our traffic, it's a little heavier in the during the football season, mm-hmm. but in the summertime it still sustains itself, so we can deliver our commitments to our clients.
That's great. Big fans out there.
Yeah,
definitely.
They are.
So in getting it built up over the years, mistakes, biggest mistake you've made?
The biggest mistake I ever made is a funny story. The second year I was running Ravens 24/7 before we changed over to Russell Street Report, and that's another story too. But when we were running it the second year, I got a tip from a friend of a friend who happened to work for the NFL offices in New York on Park Avenue. And he faxed to me. We were still using fax machines then. So he faxed to me the schedule for the Ravens, and I put it up on our site. It was perfect. And we were getting all this traffic because everybody around the web was saying, hey, you got to check out this site. They got the Ravens schedule before everybody else did. Mm. And I was so proud, and it really put us on a map in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. Fast forward to the next year. Same guy, same fax, mm-hmm. put it on the site. 17 weeks, including the bye week. Mm-hmm. Not one was right. Not a single one was. And the Ravens lost their mind. I got calls from the Ravens, and finally the VP of Public Relations, Kevin Byrne, mm-hmm. went out to the facilities. I figured I had to face the music, right? So I went out to the facility. He puts his arm around me. He goes, Tony, you know what? If you think you got a breaking story, give us a call. If you're wrong, we'll tell you you're wrong. Mm-hmm. If you're right, we might tell you, we might not. But if you put something like this, you had showed this to us, you'd have been okay.
That was nice of them to accept.
It was, but it was a lot of egg on our face for a little while.
Oh man! So over the years, you've probably written a couple thousand stories, because you write for the site yourself as well, in addition to running it. So, what was your favorite story to write?
Well, my wife oftentimes calls me a mushball because I get sentimental about certain things, and I really like when the Ravens moved to town, it brought a community together, mm-hmm. and I really enjoy those aspects of writing. And one article that I wrote, it was really just a story that was told to me that I share with our audience, was about this father and the son, and they had been estranged for a few years. They dug their heels in the sand, and they didn't want to budge, and mm-hmm. they were bullheaded basically. And the son decided to buy a couple of PSLs. Mm-hmm. Season tickets for the Ravens, and thought, maybe I'll break the ice this way. After so many years, I'd like to have a relationship with my dad. Mm-hmm. Mails him the season tickets, never hears a word. Mm. First game, he goes to his seat and he's waiting. Still doesn't know if his father's coming or not. And up through the stands, he sees his dad.
Fantastic.
And that story, it really got me, and it's a really great story. Now that father and son have a great relationship again. Mm-hmm. The bullheadedness is gone, and the family's been resurrected, really, in many ways, mm-hmm. because of the Baltimore Ravens.
And you got to write that story.
I did.
About it. Fantastic. And you get to interview the players, I guess, too, right? You get to talk to a lot of them, have relationships with them.
Yeah, the players, a lot of times I think the general media focuses in on the bad things that players do, the NFL players do. Yeah. And that's unfortunate, because I think as a percentage, I think there are a higher percentage of bad people in the society in general than there are in the NFL. It's just they happen to focus on those guys that make mistakes. And you get to see that when you interview these players. Really good God-fearing people that are just great family guys, and it's really good to see because the general public doesn't have that opportunity to see it, and I do. And we try to promote those stories more often than not.
Who's the best sports interview you ever had, sports player?
Well, I did a show with Bart Scott for a little while, and he's just a funny guy, and we always had a lot of fun. But the best, particularly with what I'm doing is running sports as a business, my best interview was with Steve Bisciotti. And I've had a number of occasions to sit down with Steve.
The Ravens.
Yeah, the owner of the Ravens. And he's just a really down-to-earth guy. And what I really love about Steve is sometimes you're guarded in that business, and you have sort of cookie-cutter type of answers.
Yeah.
Not him. He just tells it like it is, and you really get a refreshing perspective on ownership in the NFL. And I've learned a lot from him, not only about the Ravens, but in terms of how to operate a business too.
Fantastic. Yeah. All right, we're out of time. Thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break. Your future, your finances. I'm your host, Brian Kuhn. Thanks for watching.